Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Vitold and here we've got a battle of two former allies, if you know what I mean, looking back at the world's history, Japan and Italy. Before you there's a legendary name of Honda Transalp and maybe a less legendary Italian name of Aprilia Tuareg. Both of these names were brought back to life recently, but Transalp had been with us also more recently, and that's why more of us will likely recognize this name. Here in this video I'm comparing these two mid-size adventure motorcycles head-to-head in certain categories. I've ridden all middleweight adventure motorcycles just as the large ones, and knowing that we all may look for different things, I'll be comparing these two bikes category by category so that you know what to look for and will be able to focus on what's important to you specifically. I'll also give you my overview of what I believe each of these two may be better in and which one I would choose myself in the end of the video. Let's kick things off with the power plant. Neither of these engines will make you leap out of your seat with excitement, but one is clearly trying harder and failing harder. The Aprilia 659 cubic centimeters twin gives you 80 horses and 70 Newton meters, but it's an engine that feels like it's constantly struggling uphill with a cold. It tries and again it gives up, like someone pretending to be fit at the gym for 5 minutes. Long gears don't help its case, and while it doesn't get much heat, the vibe is, don't push me. Honda's 755 cubic centimeter twin offers 91 horsepower and 75 Newton meters of torque, and it's the livelier one of the two, no doubt. It's not super explosive, but at least it doesn't feel winded halfway through. Still, above 8,000 RPM, the Transalp begins to taper off too. You've got to wring it a bit for power, and outside of sport mode, the traction control is jumpier than it should be in my opinion. Honda wins here, but it's still not a home run. Now, when it comes to handling, this is where Aprilia punches far above its weight and absolutely shines. It's one of the best handling adventure bikes out there regardless of the segment, period. Neutral at low speeds and absolutely razor sharp at higher speeds. It slices into corners like it was made to do only that. Now big 21-inch front wheel, doesn't matter, lean in, brake, accelerate, whatever you do it just handles. The Transalp isn't so far behind though. It's super neutral too, it's very predictable, and when you're mid-corner it is composed. The only downside is at crawling speeds where it can feel a bit floppy, probably thanks to the long front suspension. Overall though, both are excellent here, with the Aprilia being a masterclass. Let's talk suspension, shall we? On paper, the Aprilia has the advantage. More wheel travel at 24 centimeters versus 20 and 19 in the front and rear of the Transalp. There's more ground clearance with 24 centimeters for Aprilia versus 21 in Transalp, and overall better off-road credentials in case of Aprilia. But in the real world, the Tuareg suspension is inconsistent. Over smaller bumps it's comfy and plush, but hits something big and it kicks you like a grumpy mule. The rear squats under power, and the front, on bigger potholes, it feels like the suspension disappears completely there. Transalp may not have as much spec sheet excitement, but it delivers more comfortable ride on typical roads. It is generally soft, floaty even, until you hit harder stuff. Then it gets a bit too nervous. Both have 21-inch front rims and 18-inch ones in the rear. Neither bike is perfect, but if you are mostly on flatter roads, the Honda may feel a bit more composed and forgiving overall. So it wins. Now let's discuss seat and position comfort. The Tuareg is set up more for off-road than long-distance comfort. Its 86 centimeter seat is narrow, hard, and has a dip that will crush your hopes, dreams, and delicate anatomy, but the ergonomics are solid. The high bars mean no wrist pain, and you can ride standing up with ease, especially if you're of height like mine, so 1 meter 83 centimeters tall or 6 feet tall. It's actually great for riding on the pegs without crouching like a gorilla. The Transalp seat, on the other hand, is plush and comfortable right away, lower at 85 centimeters. Just the foot pegs position is weird, set quite far forward, and the handlebar feels attached too close. Overall, the Honda gives you more saddle time comfort, the Aprilia gives you more off-road readiness. Both I would score similarly in the end. If you also cannot make a clear choice, for that money you may get an electrically adjustable office chair like mine from Power Seats, and you'll still have some money left. These are amazing, so check them out at powerseats.eu. Fifth category of comparison is wind protection. Now on Aprilia it feels more like a design afterthought. It does the minimum. There are basically no turbulences, but not much actual protection there is. It's not adjustable, and you'll notice the wind on long trips very clearly. That's going to be very much in your face, literally. The Honda had a taller aftermarket screen in this test, which made it closer to perfect. I mean, too perfect actually, to make a fair comparison here. So we'll call this one a no contest, but just know that the Transalp can be turned into a wind warrior if you go for this taller screen. It's just a pity that it's not adjustable. When we hit the brakes, Honda absolutely wipes the floor here. The Tuareg's front brake needs a serious squeeze before anything happens, and it never really gives you full confidence. The rear brake is better, but the whole system just feels a bit numb. Now the Transalp, the front could use a little more of initial bite, but it's predictable and strong. The real star is the rear brake. Possibly the best in the segment and maybe beyond. Only downside is the awkward positioned brake lever. Still, braking is one of the areas where Honda feels like it's in another class and absolutely wins here. Drivetrain. No drama here, both use chains, nothing exciting, nothing terrible. Maintenance is part of the package, it's a tie. In terms of fuel tank capacity, Aprilia gives you 18 liters, which is decent, but then it ruins it with a fuel cap from the why would you do that department. It spins freely while you try to use the key at the same time, and once it's off, you're stuck holding it like an idiot. Honda's 16.9 liter tank is slightly smaller but far more practical. It's easy to open, no fuss, no rage. That makes all the difference when you're refueling in a rush or with gloves on. Fuel tank capacity goes to Aprilia, but well, okay, let's let it win. If you know how to use that cap at some point, I mean, you have to know right after the first kilometers, then it's giving you more capacity. Now, when thinking about weight, there is a pleasant surprise. Both bikes feel lighter than they are. The Tuareg is 204 kilograms fully fueled, and it feels nimble when you're tossing it around, but Honda, despite being 208 kilograms, somehow feels even lighter. It's maybe just a tiny bit easier to move around, especially when parking. Maybe it's because of the lower handlebar in the Honda, making it easier to keep under control when not really in motion. So let's let it win. Tech-wise, it is a frustrating game of almost. The Aprilia offers more on paper. Riding modes, ABS, traction control, cruise control, an optional quick shifter, heated grips, but the execution feels slightly incomplete. There's no keyless ignition or fuel cap, no cornering lights, no tire pressure monitoring system, and worst of all, just 4 bars of fuel indicator on the dash. Come on. And no rear rack. I mean, what the hell? Honda isn't much better actually. There's no cruise control, there's no cornering anything, and no keyless features. It has riding modes, it's got heated grips and a very good quick shifter option, so both give you the basics, but neither goes full Star Trek. Aprilia offers more electronics, but Honda's simplicity might actually annoy you less in the long run, considering checking the fuel levels at least. I'd say it's a tie. Now it's time for sound. The Transalp has a deep, throaty growl at low RPMs, but keeping that also higher. It's making it a pleasure to start up and rev. The Tuareg, it's less refined, it can sound a bit strained at high RPMs, almost like it's trying too hard at a karaoke night. You might want to stick to lower RPMs if you don't want to scare off the neighbors. Honda is brilliant here, and it wins rather easily, I would say. Now let's talk design, which is a subjective thing, but come on, Aprilia, I mean, what's that front light doing? The Tuareg looks dated and looks unrefined, almost like a sketch from a forgotten prototype drawer. It screams sort of function first, but not in a rugged or sexy way. The Transalp, while not being a stunner, it looks far more balanced and modern. Clean lines, cohesive proportions, and nothing that makes you tilt your head in confusion. What you see in the video is the Transalp version that was initially launched. Now there was a facelift in 2025, I believe. Not much has changed, a little bit of a different front light, mostly. It was not, and it's still not artwork, but it doesn't need to be. I would say it definitely wins over Aprilia. Moving to the price and value for money, regular Tuareg is priced at 16% more than Transalp, so keeping it all in mind, it's not such a big difference, but I feel that Transalp is a safer choice. So if you can have it for less money, it sounds like a better deal to me, and it wins here. X Factor, as the last category of comparison, is difficult for me at this time, since Aprilia has one super cool thing on its side, which is amazing handling, but then the rest isn't that very good. The Transalp also handles well, but not as brilliantly, but also sounds very nice and has a better engine. Thinking on which I would prefer to ride to just have fun, I struggle. I feel it would depend on where I were to ride the bike and if there were corners or not. If so, I would pick the Aprilia, but if not, and likely in more cases, there would be not so many cool corners around, it would be the Honda. But then that handling of Tuareg is a really big deal. So in the end, let's just mark it as a tie. However, I think I might be pointing to Aprilia. So in the end, Aprilia wins in handling and fuel tank capacity, while Honda wins home in engine performance, suspension, brakes, weight, sound, design, and price and value for money. I've chosen a tie in quite a lot of categories, which usually doesn't happen, but here it's seat and position comfort, drivetrain, tech, and X Factor. My final verdict is the Aprilia Tuareg 660 is a classic case of a brilliant handler taped in a frustrating package. It is amazing agility and off-road posture, but it's dragged down by an uninspiring engine, by awkward design and equipment choices, and inconsistent suspension as well. The Honda Transalp XL750 is the clear all-rounder here. It's not thrilling, but it gets everything just right. It gets it right enough that you actually want to ride it everywhere. There's solid power, there are great brakes, there's better comfort and usable tech. It's the more grown-up, livable choice. If you want sharpness and edge, I suggest you pick the Tuareg, but be ready for compromises. If you want reliability, comfort, and ease, the Transalp is the one you ride to the end of the world and back, likely. And the Transalp would be my overall choice here. If you want to learn more about each of these bikes individually, check my full, honest reviews of them, both linked in the description of this video. I hope you like this comparison and tell me which one you would choose and why. See ya.